Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and then also what program you did at CCIR with which professor?
Yeah, sure. So, my name is Sissi Ho. I am an upcoming 12th grader at Vancouver, Canada, and the specific course I did was the one-on-one mentorship program under Dr. Mamiko Yajima.
Great. So walk us through a little bit of, what subject area that was and also what were the questions that you were trying to answer through the one-on-one program?
Yeah, sure. So the specific subject area that I focused on was optogenetics, and it's essentially a field of kind of, I'd say, genetic engineering that focuses on creating mechanisms that are controlled by light to research different cellular processes and functions. And the particular question I was essentially answering was what are the recent kind of advancements and contributions and developments that this particular field has kind of undergone, and even more how is it kind of changing research in a way?
So you were looking at it more from a historical perspective, from where the field started and where it is now, and hopefully the directions that it will go in the future.
Yeah, I'd say more so focused on the future and kind of the research that is yet to be done, but definitely I also go through kind of how it's kind of developed in the past and what it looks like right now.
Mm. So how far are you into this project?
I just completed my course, so I'd say done essentially. Yeah.
So do you want to walk us through a little bit of what you found through your research?
Yeah, sure. So essentially the form that my research took was it was a literature synthesis or a literature review. And a couple of things I found kind of throughout my experience was how kind of I just learned a lot about how optogenetics is particularly unique and beneficial, and why scientists are kind of very invested in it. So for example, light in particular, it's super unique because it's very reversible, it's easily controllable, how it impacts a cell, it's able to be kind of removed and put back, unlike maybe if you put a chemical into a cell, then sometimes it would cause permanent damage. And so taking a look at kind of these benefits throughout multiple kind of studies, for example, studies on controlling transcription factors or controlling lipid signaling. I think I learned a lot about optogenetics in particular through examining these different, I'd say, experiments. Yeah.
And how did you, go into this program already knowing what exactly you wanted to do? Or was it, more in general, a field that you wanted to go into, and then you had to really fine tune your research topic?
Well, I'd say it's a little bit of both, because the topic I initially came to the mentorship program with was actually deep sea bioluminescence. But my general interest area is just molecular and cellular biology. So I was very open to kind of doing a different topic, I'd say. And the reason why I ended up landing on optogenetics in particular is probably because of kind of some of the initial research I did around the field. I didn't know very much about optogenetics at that point, but I think it was very much the novelty of optogenetics that kind of drew me in, and why I decided to focus on it in the end.
Mm. What was the process like working with the professor, for that stage, for it to be narrowed down to eventually what you were able to do?
Yeah, I'd say Dr. Yajima, she was very supportive and very patient with me. Um, like at the beginning, I'd say I kind of lost my direction. I didn't really know which particular thing to be researching. And she was fine with that, because the way my course in particular was structured was that there wasn't any set lectures or set topics to go through, because the mentorship program is very flexible in that way, I'd say. And every class, she just asked me to kind of read about any particular paper and just present on it the entire class. And then we'd go through what I'd learned, and then she'd ask a few questions. And I found the process overall to be very, very enjoyable. Dr. Yajima was helpful in the way that she, whatever I was unsure about something, she would try to answer it, or we would go through that paper together. And overall, not only did I strengthen my knowledge, I'd say I also strengthened my research skills.
Yeah, so it sounds like you weren't necessarily in the position of a, I guess, a passive knowledge consumer, but you were really taking on the proactive role of presenting and just really proactively involved in this process. Um, so how do you think you were able to juggle what you had to do, proactively in the program, along with the schoolwork that, or any extracurriculars that you have going on outside the program as well?
Yeah, I'd say it was a matter of time management. Of course, like how much time I put into the research was largely dependent on me. Like I could scrutinize every little detail, or I could just try and catch like the general gist of what was happening. But I really did my best to, I guess, yeah, manage my time and like go as deep into the research as possible because like what I put into it was basically what I got out of it. So my experience kind of like juggling that with schoolwork, with my other extracurriculars was pretty pleasant. I just went at my own pace and overall, I didn't feel like overburdened by like the course I took at CCIR in any way.
So I guess in terms of growing yourself as a scholar, it wasn't just in terms of the content of the knowledge, but also the process, right? So how do you manage your time in this process, and then how do you, garner all the knowledge? How do you arrange? How do you synthesize all these things? Is there something that going to the program you didn't anticipate learning about yourself? And then coming out of the program, you're like, this is something that new that I, about myself that I never knew before.
Yeah, maybe this isn't something new in particular, but like research in general hasn't been something that I've been like very much exposed to previously, especially doing my own research in a way that's like independent and separated from maybe like group projects and separated from school. So coming into CCIR, I think one of the main questions I was asking myself was like whether or not I wanted to continue with research in the future, or whether it's just something that's going to like end after my education or end after high school. But I found that I really enjoyed the process, I'd say. Of course, it was challenging and it was difficult at times, but overall, like what I learned from it and like how I felt doing research in general, I just felt like it was something that was like right for me. So something I learned coming out of the course is that in the future, I want to continue doing research, perhaps like academically or just like in other ways, but it's something I envision myself going into as I like embark on my career path.
Yeah, so how does this help inform your college choice or within the college that you're going to, your major choice?
Yeah, I'm definitely going into something that's related to sciences, probably biology, which is the field that I kind of explored within this course. And then in terms of university, somewhere like academically rigorous, perhaps like a little like CCIR, and can really offer me like these same types of like mentorship experiences and same types of learning experiences. Yeah, that's probably what I'm looking for.
Yeah, so something that is, I guess, has an intimate environment where there isn't such, a disparity between like what you're experiencing here, which is a one-on-one format, versus maybe some classes in a lot of big universities might have a couple hundred students. So you're looking for something that's more small, mentored, and also hopefully in the field of biology. Um, so is there anything that, you wish you would have known going to the program, that you would like to share with people who are currently looking to apply to the program?
Um, yeah, I'd say that like it's particularly with the mentorship program, it's well, I mean, probably it applies to like all the programs, but to really choose a topic that you're super passionate about. Because at least for me, I like juggled a couple of different kind of fields of study and a couple of different kind of focus areas. And like a large part of it was just me trying to figure out and like pinpoint what exactly I wanted to study, and what exactly I wanted to research. Because ultimately, yeah, I feel like if I chose like the wrong field to look into, I wouldn't have such like a positive experience coming out of CCIR. So perhaps like if I was talking to another student that wanted to apply to the same program, then I'd say really like think about what you enjoy reading about and what you enjoy learning about. so that coming into the course and like going into the type of work or like the research you're planning to do, that you're like going to be happy doing it, I'd say.
Does it speak to the workload that was required of you in the program where you feel like if you weren't necessarily passionate or super interested about what you're reading about, it would have been, a little bit tedious?
Yeah, I would say so. And if I wasn't as invested in like the topic area as I was, then I wouldn't like be willing to go through so much like detail and go into so much depth as I could.
Yeah, and I think that really speaks to the proactive piece that you were mentioning earlier, right? So you have to take, I guess, the initiative and really allow the curiosity to lead you. The professor, of course, will guide you, but there has to be something that really comes from within, right? So I guess what are the next steps for this project? Do you hope to showcase it anywhere?
Yeah, I'm hoping to submit it to a couple of undergraduate journals or conferences. I'd say that like if my research is deemed to be like high enough quality, I guess I've done the best that I can, then I like be super happy to showcase it or like talk about it to others, and maybe just like extend my research experience anyway.
Yeah, and are you going to be working with the academy to continue that process, looking at conferences or journals or publication?
Yeah, I've already had a start on that process. I'm currently working with the academic team to narrow down kind of which conferences I want to be submitting to, and like formatting my own kind of paper in like the form of the conference accepts, and probably like sending it back to the academic team for suggestions on my drafts and on my formatting. Yeah,
Oh, great. Do you feel well supported?
yeah, completely.
Yeah. And that's what we like to hear. So is there anything else that you would like to share with, students or parents who are watching this interview?
Nothing in particular, but if you are remotely interested in research, I'd say definitely go for it. Sign up for the course.
All right. Thank you so, so much for joining us and for sharing your experience. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much.